It was my last semester at college, and I was counting down the days. I was generally a very quiet person and tended to keep to myself. However, I struck gold when I crossed paths with the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. It felt like a dream. She was the most wonderful lady named Kayla, and it truly was love at first sight. She made my heart skip a beat whenever I saw her, and even though it did take a few months to pursue her, it was completely worth it. By graduation, we were madly in love, and 2 years later, once both our careers took off, we decided to tie the knot. Almost immediately, we were blessed with our daughter, so Kayla decided to take some time off, because I was doing really well at my job at the time. Over the 9 months, I even landed a promotion, so we decided it would be best if Kayla stayed at home to focus on our family. 2 years after this, Kayla gave me my son, and he was the joy of my life. Every morning, just before work, I would sneak into my children's rooms to give them both a kiss. And after work in the evenings, we would always enjoy family dinners and played games until bedtime. It was honestly perfect, and I often wondered how I managed to get so lucky. One day, after I had put the kids to bed, I was lounging on the couch watching TV, and suddenly, something caught my attention. The lamp, which was in the corner of the room, looked funny. I felt as if the perspective was odd. It looked blurry. But everything else in the room was fine, so I knew it wasn't my eyes. I looked away, rubbed my eyes, and looked back at the lamp, and to my surprise, it was still blurry. I became transfixed. I spent the entire night staring at the lamp. It began to morph, twist, go from 2D to 3D. It was hypnotizing. I called in sick to work that day because I couldn't understand what I was seeing. My wife didn't notice anything wrong with the lamp, so I knew it was me. Did I have some kind of illness? Was I hallucinating? Over the next few days, I stopped eating, going to work, and my wife became more and more worried. She tried convincing me to see the doctor, but what would I say to them? They would just think I was losing my mind. My wife told me she would be taking the kids to her mother's house and that someone would be stopping by to see me because at this point, she was really freaked out. I just stayed on the couch, staring at this red lamp, which had now began to grow in size. It was growing taller, wider, and it was still morphing into different shapes. Eventually, all I could see was red. The lamp had filled the room around me, and I started to hear faint screams as I focused on the lamp. They seemed distant and almost like they were echoes. A loud ringing sound had also started. It was almost like a siren. Then it hit me, the most blinding pain I had ever felt. It felt like I had been shot in the head. The noises, the pain, the screaming was so intense. I shut my eyes so tight, and once I opened them, I realized I was lying on the sidewalk. Back at my college. There was a lot of commotion all around me, and I was so confused. How did I get here? I tried searching for Kayla and the kids, but before I could shout out for them, a police officer had picked me up, loaded me up in his car, and drove me to the nearest hospital. I asked him what was going on, and he informed me that I had been attacked by one of the college football players and hit my head against the raised curb. I asked him where my family was, and he looked at me puzzled and said he didn't know. I had been alone when the student attacked me. That's when it clicked. The last 10 years were not real. My wife, my kids, my house, my job, it was all a hallucination. During the few minutes I spent unconscious on the ground, my mind had somehow created my perfect reality, and it felt so real. I was devastated. I arrived at the hospital moments later and eventually made a full physical recovery. Mentally, I was in a tough place. I battled 3 years of depression and had to get intense therapy. I grieved the loss of a family that never existed. I would cry myself to sleep and would hope to see my family in my dreams. I never ever did.
Watch another if you dare.